What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video to the channel. This one is going to be one that we have done in the past. We have done one episode like this before, and it was a MLB All 30s Team Tier Maker list, where I think it was like almost about 6 months ago. It was towards the end of the season that we kind of ranked out how we felt the teams were at the very end of the season. Well, lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, spring training has begun. It has been underway for a couple, I believe it's been like a week now since this video is going to be uploaded, so things are definitely exciting. The lockout has ended, big contract signings in the offseason. We're going to be getting into all of that, and if you guys are interested in knowing a little bit more about the details, we're going to summarize some of the things in this video, but we are going to be also having a podcast where we are going to be talking about the most recent acquisitions in the offseason, some of the players that we're getting traded and signed, and we're going to be able to give ourselves a little more of an in-depth opinion on each one of these teams in a little bit of a longer version of like a podcast video, where this is just going to be a quick summary. So with that being said, guys, let's get into today's video. And if before we do that though, if you guys do enjoy today's video, be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more amazing content, because only you can make a difference for today's channel, so your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, guys, let's get right into today's video. Okay, so the first team that we're going to be breaking down is going to be one of the bigger teams in baseball, one of the biggest franchise names in sports, that is, and that is going to be the New York Yankees. So the Yankees definitely are a powerhouse team. They are definitely one of those teams that have been in S tier many years to come. This is a team that has Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Garrett Cole, Jameson Taillon, not to mention that they have players like Anthony Rizzo. They have DJ LeMahieu, who in my opinion is starting to kind of become a little bit more on the decline. The thing with the Yankees right now is they have a lot of competition within their division between themselves, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and kind of now even a little bit more. There's some other teams that are starting to become a little bit more. The Rays are starting to push. The Rays have been a contending team. I shouldn't really knock them down, but no one really talks about them a lot with this division. So I really think the Yankees still, though, are... I don't want to say that they're above the Red Sox, because I feel like they are like neck and neck on teams, but I still think the Yankees are a powerhouse team for this year, and I do think that they are going to definitely be one of the top teams in baseball. So for now, maybe we'll go and adjust them. I think we're going to put the Yankees in S tier, so that is where we are going to place them right now. Moving into the next one, we're going to be talking about the Seattle Mariners, and this one for me is a fun one this year. This was a team last year that, if you guys do remember, in the 2021 season, these guys were pushing so close. They just missed their opportunity to make the playoffs. A lot of people were rooting for these guys. Seattle really showed how big of a fan base they really have in baseball last year, and I really like this team. The management seems like they're paying attention to their fan base. They went out, they got a lot of people. They ended up getting players like Adam Frazier. They made some nice acquisitions with the Reds, getting Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez. So there's definitely a lot of caliber with this Seattle Mariners team. Not to mention, you got a lot of younger players like Kyle Lewis, who, you know, despite the injuries and stuff, really haven't talked about him yet. So a full year out of him, we'll see what that can maybe do for a Seattle club. This is a team that I think the pitching is a little bit weak, and they've always kind of had that weak spot, but I really think that they're an A tier team this year. I really think that Seattle is going to surprise a lot of people, and for that reason, I'm going to put them in A tier. Next one, moving down the list, the Tampa Bay Rays. So the Tampa Bay Rays, again, are one of those teams. They like to be very innovative with the sport. They like to try a lot of different things. They're one of the teams that started the whole bullpen opener, having your closer open games, things like that. So they're very unique. They like to kind of mix things around, stir the pot, if you will. I do not really think, though, that they are an S-tier team. They are definitely a team that can compete with the Yankees, and they are giving us some hot teams right off the tier list here. And I think the Rays are going to actually be just below where the Seattle Mariners are. I'm going to try to kind of tier list this as it goes down the line, so the higher one, the Mariners, will be the best of the A tier, vice versa with any of the tiers, just so everybody is wondering how we're kind of doing things on that. So there is a little bit of a matter with it, how it goes horizontally and instead of vertically down the line as well. So, yeah, the Tampa Bay Rays, definitely a team. They have a young Wander Franco, legendary talent, in my opinion, with him. I think he is going to be an absolute star. No doubt, not even a star, I would say a superstar for Wander Franco. They have players like Brandon Lowe, who is, again, one of those players really starting to kind of come to form, really starting to figure things out, and I think this is another year where he's going to really put some big impactful numbers up. You have Randy Arozarena, postseason hero, postseason god. Absolutely love that. The pitching is not bad. Getting players like Tyler Glass. Now they have Corey Kluber this year. Do not forget, this team does have Corey Kluber. So, they can definitely be surprising. They have Shane Baz, hoping that he can stay healthy. He can start pitching really well. Again, I still believe Glass now is injured as well. So the pitching's a little bit scary, but I think with a healthy ball club, this is an A-tier team. I think they are definitely not to be thrown under the bus. They have a lot of good talent. And yeah, I think that's it with the Tampa Bay Rays. Okay, moving on to another one. This one, I think this one is going to throw some heads this year. Maybe some people are going to judge me a little bit, but I really, really, really think that this Toronto Blue Jays team this year is an S-tier team. I genuinely think this team is right up there with the Yankees. I think they're right up there with the Red Sox. While we're talking about the Red Sox, I'll probably be putting them in the S tier as well. But right now, we're going to be getting into the Blue Jays. Wow, what a team this year. Vladdy Guerrero, Bo Bichette. I mean, I could go on and on really with how talented this team is going to be this year and how much I think that they're going to make an impact. I think they are going to surprise a lot of people. Toronto definitely in for a good year. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that this is an S-tier team, but I think just with all that talent kind of coming to form and all the development system kind of finally working out in Toronto, I think this is the year that they really start putting together an amazing season. I'm imagining maybe like a 95-win season from Toronto, and I really wouldn't be surprised to see that, actually. So, yeah, Toronto Blue Jays going to be S-tier for this one. Moving on, we're going to skip over a couple here and just kind of mix things up because we've been so high-tiered right now. We're going to move things over to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's grab these guys. Diamondbacks, not really the hottest to trot team. Don't got a lot really going. They're kind of definitely one of those teams that's more focused on the sell portion of their franchise than they are really in their even rebuild. I think this is the year that you might see the Arizona Diamondbacks ship away Ketel Marte maybe. They don't really have a lot of high-tier caliber players on this team. It doesn't really seem like management really knows what to do with this team either. So for that reason, I'm going to put them in D tier. I really think the Diamondbacks are one of the worser teams of the year. I don't really think that they are going to be turning too many heads. I don't think many people are going to be looking at the Diamondbacks even surprised at really what their record is. They don't have a strong pitching staff. The bats are very far and few and in between. And honestly, between Ketel Marte and a couple others that have been proving that they can start kind of paving a way for, no pun intended, but until they can start proving that they can be a little bit more consistent, I think the Diamondbacks got a lot of work to do, and they should start selling now this year and stop kind of doing what they're doing. It just kind of feels like they've been a stagnant, bitter last team in their division right now, and it's been hard for them to compete between the Padres, the Dodgers, and the Giants kind of ruling that division. So yeah, the Diamondbacks are definitely going to be the first team in our D tier. Okay, moving up to the mountains, the Colorado Rockies. Here is a disaster of management, ownership, whatever you want to call it, upper management, however you want to say it. This team is a disaster. I even think, yes, I know people are going to put in the comments, but they got Chris Bryant. He's going to be great. And I just don't see Chris Bryant lasting long in a Colorado Rockies uniform, regardless of what the contract says. I do believe it was no trade clause, but this is not a conversation about just Chris Bryant. Yes, he is definitely going to add more pop to this team. Yes, he's going to be adding a little bit, but this was also a team, you have to remember, 2 to 3 years ago, had Nolan Arenado, had Trevor Story. This would be a much different conversation if management would have somehow been able to keep Story, keep Arenado, and maybe take Chris Bryant and move the guy to left field, maybe even first base, something like that. I would have loved to see, but I just don't think they really know what they're doing. And again, this is going to be another National League West team that's going to find themselves in the D tier, where you're going to kind of see the other West teams way above par with the other ones. So with that being said, guys, that is the Colorado Rockies. Heading into another one that I think, again, very similar, very, very similar. Back-to-back teams that we're going to kind of be talking about. I think they have this confused management thing. They had Derek Jeter selling the team, which I think kind of raises some eyebrows, but maybe at the same time, Miami fans, you maybe shouldn't be too worried about that, because who knows? Maybe Derek Jeter was actually kind of becoming more of the problem and he was more aware of it. I didn't really look into the absolute of why he left management. I do believe it was that they just had some different beliefs and different outcomes, so they went their separate ways. But I am not going to be ranking these guys in D tier, and I want to rank them in C tier because I want to put them in B, I should say. I want to put this team in B. I really believe that the Miami Marlins could be a B tier team this year, but I think this is that year that they have to prove it. They have to show that the players like Sixto, like Sandy, and all of these other young talents can come to form. They've shown that Jazz can do it. They've shown that the other guys that are coming up, the other younger talents, can be successful. Now it's just about kind of getting them to be in the rhythm and stay consistent, and I think that's where Miami's at right now. I think it is very fair to put them in the C tier. Last year, I probably would have put them in the D tier because it didn't really look like they had a lot going, but this year, the development has been looking very good. Spring training, I know it's a small sample size, but a lot of these prospects and a lot of these guys that they've been showing off in their system look like they're ready to compete. So for that being said, yes, C is going to be where we rank the Miami Marlins. Okay, we're going to try to speed things up along, and it's hard to speed things up, though, because there's so many things that we want to talk about. Next one that we're going to be breaking it down is, why not, the New York Mets. My goodness. What an off season this team has had. You can talk about how you want to break this team down, but I think any team that already has Jacob deGrom and adds Max Scherzer to that team is going to be phenomenal. This team right here, I really believe is either A or S tier. I want to put them S tier. 2 New York teams this year in S tier. Oh, that hurts me, though. That hurts me so dearly. Just trying to take a look, though, at like everybody else in their division. I don't think this is the best National League East team. I really don't. I think there is another team that is just slightly better than them, and I think the Mets are going to stay at A. I really think they need to just kind of... I've seen a lot of trouble with their bullpen. I know that they have some good players. I'm not taking anything away from Trevor May. I'm not taking anything away from some of those good arms in the bullpen, but as we know, there are some other teams that the depth of their bullpen is unfathomable, and that's like a strong thing with having a good team. And maybe I'm a little biased because I don't really enjoy the Mets that much. They're one of my more least favorite teams, so maybe I just don't really want to put them in S tier, but I also don't like the Yankees either, and we gave them the S. But I think A tier is where the Mets are going to sit. They have a lot of great talent. I mean, there is no doubt. They got Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, deGrom, Scherzer. My goodness, I could keep going on. I could. But, yeah, they have a great team. They have a lot of things. They have a lot of people, though, and I think the big problem with me also about trying to not wanting them to put them in S tier is their injury problem. Seems like they have a lot of players that go down on injury. Seems like they are a team that is relatively consistent with getting plagued with the injury bug, whether that be Jacob deGrom or whether that be another player in their system. It seems like it does hurt them whenever it happens. So right now we're going to put them in A tier. Hopefully a healthy year can kind of bump them up because they are pushing S tier for me, and I really would like to see another team kind of be a dominant force and overtake some of these bigger franchise names. All right, another team we're going to be talking about. This team definitely jumped up the ladder for me this year. That is going to be the Texas Rangers. Texas Rangers is going to be the first team that I'm going to be putting in B tier. B tier, I think, is going to fit the Texas Rangers really nice. This is a team that finally showed, hey, we're buyers, we're looking to compete, we're trying to compete. They go out, they get Corey Seager, they go out, they get Marcus Semien. They're going out, they're making moves, and those are things that you want to see. You want to see teams that are willing to compete at a major league standard, and these guys are doing it. They're going out, they're buying what they needed, and they did exactly that. They did great moves, they did some great trade deals. They're looking like a team that wants to be successful. And are they going to be the best team in the American League? No, they're not. But they definitely showed that they are going to be trying to compete. And at least maybe with the opened, expanded playoff roster, maybe they'll be able to find themselves a spot. I really think this could be a wild card team, and don't be surprised if you see a little more from that. So with that being said, yeah, I think the Texas Rangers find themselves very strong in B tier. All right, now, who do we pick? Moving things along, let's go to my Pittsburgh Pirates. Middle portion of the video. What do we think, ladies and gentlemen? I know a lot of people that don't know the Pittsburgh Pirates would be like, what are you doing? They're immediately the worst team in baseball. Put them in D. Slow your roll, partner. This is a team that is not like what people are saying. This is a team that has prospects more than any other Major League Baseball team. They have 6 top prospects right along with Miami, but I do genuinely believe, bias aside, that the Pittsburgh Pirates prospects are a little bit stronger than what the Miami Marlins ones are, and for that reason, I'm putting them in C tier. Maybe not above Miami, because I think Miami has some of the better, a more Major League ready team than what the Pirates do have right now, but I think with the players that are going to be coming up this year for the Pirates, that they're going to have a team. They're going to be surprising people. They're going to be turning heads. I actually don't even think that they are going to be the last place team in the Central. I'm almost biased enough to say that they could even get 3rd place in the Central. The Cubs doing what they're doing, sending some things. I know they got Seiya Suzuki, which we will talk about in a second, but I think the Pirates with prospects like O'Neal Cruz, Nick Gonzalez coming up, you have a lot of young talent. Mitch Keller has looked phenomenal, so we're finally starting able to get a start out of him, and who knows? Who knows how the cookie may crumble, but yeah, I'm going to be giving my Pirates, for the first time in a very long time, I have been a very honest Pirates fan, I am giving them C tier right here. No, they are not going to be the best, but I'm hoping maybe by next year we could kind of find them in that Rangers territory where this is the year that their prospects start to develop and they say, hey, maybe we'll buy some things. It all depends if Bob Nutting is still the owner, though. As long as he's the owner on this team, not much is going to happen. We need to hashtag sell the team. So moving things right along. Next one up, we're going to stay in the Central a little bit, and I'm going to be talking about the Milwaukee Brewers. This is definitely going to be my pick for the first place in our division. They go out, they sign Andrew McCutchen, one of the most notable signings for the Brewers. They didn't go out, they didn't really do a lot in the off-season, but they do have a very talented team between players like Corbin Burns and the rest of their pitching staff that is absolutely disgusting. You got to respect that. They still have Christian Yelich, regardless of how people think he had an off year, whatever, yada, yada. I still believe it's Christian Yelich. I still think he's one of the more talented players in the game, and adding him, having Lorenzo Cain, I believe Lorenzo Cain's still on the Brewers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe he still is. They have a lot of good guys. They have Keston Hiura, who, every once in a while can provide some power on the bat. They have a lot of people that really are surprisingly good when you take a look at this team. I'm going to give them an A tier. I think the Brewers this year are also an A tier team. I think they really work well. I do think they are a little bit below some of these other teams, but I think the Brewers definitely are one of the better teams in baseball this year. Detroit Tigers. Okay, Detroit fans, you guys in the last video, you guys did not like my opinion on what I gave your team, but I really think it's going to stay the same. I still think with the addition of Javier Baez, you're still around this C tier team. You might be, if anything, like here on the B tier, but I think you're like a top C tier team. I think even with Javi Baez, your team is still going to need a lot to be able to really get past some of these other teams. I think your division, out of all the divisions, is a little bit more challenging than others, especially with the Twins kind of showing now that they want to compete. I mean, it's really anybody's game at this point. But yeah, with that being said, guys, I think the Detroit Tigers, high tier C, I think is a good one for them. Okay, trying to speed things along. Next one, Cleveland Guardians. First time that we're going to be calling them the Guardians all season long. They're definitely a D tier team for me. Yes, Shane Bieber is an absolute stud. I know that you guys have players like Franmil Reyes. I know that, it just seems like after this whole transition happened from turning from the Indians to the Guardians, is kind of like overshadowed what this team was trying to build, and it seemed like they just along the way lost everybody besides like Jose Ramirez, who I really think that this Indians team, they're at the point where I think J-Ram's gone, and I think Shane Bieber might be gone as well, and they're going to focus fully on a rebuild, and I think they're going to be kind of one of the worst teams in baseball for the next couple of years, to be honest with you. I think they're going to kind of do that Baltimore Orioles strategy that they're doing, and the Orioles, we'll get into them in a second, but I think they're going to finally start figuring their way as we'll kind of transition into them. Guardians are going to be at a D tier, moving things along. We're also going to be putting the Baltimore Orioles in a D tier. We're going to put them, I think we're going to do it like this. I really think Arizona is one of the worst teams here. So Baltimore going to be there. They do at least have some guys that are showing some talent. Cedric Mullins, they have John Means. They have players that are trying to very much so develop. They have the prospects that are going there. You've seen players like Ryan Mountcastle, what he can do. He is definitely a guy that has been impressive. Trey Mancini, another one that is hoping to impress as well. So definitely a lot of talent that I think people miss on this Orioles team, and they've just haven't had any consistent 1 through 9 a solid team. It's been like 1 through 2 to 3 players have been good. So Baltimore, definitely rooting for you guys, but I still think you guys got a lot of room to work. Moving things along, we only got 2 teams in the S tier. I think it's time to kind of step our game back up in that one. NL East hot team, my pick to be winning the division yet again, the Atlanta Braves. Yes, they lose Freddie Freeman. Unfortunately, it hurts me, not even as a Braves fan, to not be seeing Freddie no longer in Atlanta. But they do go out, they get Matt Olson, they make some nice signs, some nice acquisitions, and who knows what the future could be for Atlanta. This could be a team that maybe really starts to kind of show that Olson is the future of this team, and they start to kind of love him just like they took into Freddie. So hopefully they do. I don't know really what else there is to say about the Braves. I mean, you look up and down this team, it is stacked. You got Ozzie Albies, you got Matt Olson, Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, my goodness, Ronald Acuna. I could go on and on and on. And the pitching. The pitching is good. The bullpen is stellar. Tyler Matzik, my goodness. They go out, they get Kenley Jansen. I don't really know what else to say. The team's they're going to absolutely spin this year. I think they're going to shut things down. I'm almost even willing to say that I believe the Braves could be a 100-win team this year. I think they are arguably the best team in the National League, outside of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who they have an absolute mega team this year, which, you know what? Transitioning right over to them, Dodgers, we're going to put them right there, top of S tier. They're the best team in baseball. No question about it. I don't even know if I really even want to go through this lineup, but we'll do it. Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts, Justin Turner, Freddie Freeman, my goodness, Max Muncy. There's so many that I am forgetting people. Will Smith. They have great pitching in Clayton Kershaw. Regardless of what is all going on with Trevor Bauer, if they get him back, that is another amazing pitcher to be having onto your starting rotation. They also have David Price. They also have Dustin May once he comes back, which I think around September he's supposed to be healthy. So Dodgers, man, I don't know. I think if you're a NL team and you're trying to compete, especially in the West, good luck, man. I don't know what else to tell you. I think it's going to be struggles for them. So moving things along for the other NL West teams, Padres. I'm pushing the Padres B tier this year. Last year, I really think they were very hyped up. They don't have Tatis for a while. I think that's really going to hurt them this year. I think this is going to be a team that's going to struggle. I know it's not really fair to kind of judge them off of losing Tatis like that due to the injury, but outside of Tatis, they're struggling. I think they're going to lose some players. I think they're going to have Will Myers. They're going to try to shop his contract away. They're going to try to definitely shed some money on this team this year, I think, while still being able to remain a competitive ball club. And that's kind of a hard thing to do. And I think San Diego's in a good position to try that this year. You kind of seen that. They got rid of players like Adam Frazier that they knew they weren't really ready to hold on to with the younger talent that they have coming up in their middle of the organization. And Tatis, we've seen them kind of ponder the outfield thing with him. So it's going to allow a lot of players to give some opportunity. I do believe they're better than the Texas Rangers as far as B tier, but I think they are a B tier team. The NL West, definitely a stacked division, but I think right now the Padres definitely B tier. Hate me or love it, I think they are definitely not an A tier team. I don't think they're better than these teams this year. All right, let's finish up the National League West, moving things along. The San Francisco Giants, definitely an impressive team for me. They lose a couple guys though this year, and I think again they are going to be right there. I believe they're better than the Padres, but they're like neck and neck with the Padres. The Dodgers this year, they ran off with some people, man, and I think the NL West Giants definitely looking to improve. Brian, it hurts to lose those guys, but they have a lot of, surprisingly talented players on this team. They do lose Buster Posey as well, so, an amazing career in him. I think them losing some guys, I really wanted to put them in A tier as well, but I don't think that they just fit the bill this year, so we kind of got to look to see, and then maybe whenever we do this video the second way around, whenever we do it for the All-Star break, maybe we'll change some things up after we do this. So you guys let me know what you think of the list down below. Comment what I did wrong, what you would have changed. Let me know what your favorite team is, and let's talk about it down in the comments section. Next team moving up, Billy Beane and the Oakland Athletics. Billy, what are you doing? He is D tier and way down there now. They're not spending any money, and I mean they are not spending a dime in offseason. Spring training is here. We've started. Players are playing, and Billy's just getting rid of everybody. And they're not getting nothing. They're tanking, and they're making it so obvious. It's a little scary if you're an Oakland fan. I know this is a team that, they have such a passionate crowd of fans, and I hate to see this happen to them. I love Oakland as well. I think Billy Beane and what he's done for this organization is amazing. Obviously, for anyone that's seen Moneyball, you should know. But this year, getting rid of just everybody. Everybody's gone. I think Oakland needs to do something. I'm not even sure, but they're definitely struggling. Moving things right on. Kansas City Royals. Bobby Witt Jr. That's it. Bobby Witt. Salvador Perez. They got Zach Greinke. They signed him. Bottom tier, C tier. I think with some of those guys, like I said, Bobby Witt coming up and everything, I don't think they're this tier of team. I think they're close, but they're like right in that Pirates thing, but not necessarily. I think the Miami Marlins, the Pirates, kind of similar with how their structure is on their teams. The Royals are kind of along with Detroit, where they're a little confused. They go out, they sign some people that don't really make too much sense, but they try to show that they're competing, and who knows, maybe they do. Cardinals, they are always a solid A-tier team for me. I always believe that they can compete, always believe that they can be one of the best. They're probably going to be the first or second team in the National League Central, depending on what the Brewers do. I think both of those teams very strong against each other. Brewers got the pitching, Cardinals got the bats. Let them see what happens and how it goes. Moving things along. Angels. I want to put them in A tier. Every year I want to put them, or an S tier. Every year. Just Shohei alone should put this team in S tier. They show that they can sign some people, and I just can't put them in there. I'm going to put them in A tier, right in the smack middle. Maybe not with the Rays, but I'm going to put the Angels in A tier this year. They go out and get Noah Syndergaard. That shows me that they believe that they're going to compete this year with Shohei Ohtani and Noah Syndergaard there to pitch, with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout to bat. Love saying things like that. I think it really just Shohei just adds a whole tier to this team. It does. Even Mike Trout. Without Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, this team's D. Maybe even C. Maybe C. But genuinely, I think this team is structurally going to hopefully do something this year. I always root for the Angels. They got to do something. They got to pull things through. But we got a couple teams left, so let's skim through these guys as we go. We're moving right to the Boston Red Sox. Yo, we're going to Boston. I lost my khakis. I got a lot of Boston fans in the chat. I know a lot of you guys love Boston. Don't worry, you're going to love me even more. I'm putting Boston right above the New York Yankees. The Yankees are definitely, I think, got you guys on pitching this year. But with that signing with Trevor Story, definitely, and them not really getting anything really much of a return, I really think that the Boston Red Sox offensive lineup much stronger than the Yankees pitching is. I think the pitching is still very good for the Yankees. I know a lot of people like to critique it, but Garrett Cole, Jameson Taillon, I'll take them guys, man. I think people give this team a lot of heartache when it's just because they are the New York Yankees, but the Boston Red Sox definitely showing true to form. I hope they do good this year. Hope they win their division. Cubbies, definitely going to give the Cubbies a solid B tier. Only reason, actually, top C. We're going top C. Only reason is because they got Seiya Suzuki, or I'd probably put them lower than the Pirates, but I still think the Pirates going to take them just because biasness. Not a whole lot to say about the Cubbies. They didn't really sign too many people. Well, they do. They go get Stroman. They go get Seiya Suzuki. So they show that they're trying to still compete without Chris Bryant, without Anthony Rizzo, without Javier Baez. I condone that because they lose the big three. They lose the big three stars that they said they were going to. Everyone expected it to happen in the years that it happened, and they're still trying to compete. So you know what? I'm giving them C tier. Houston Astros, as much as we all want to gag about it and still hate about it, they're an A tier team. They got talent. They're really good. They're even borderline S tier. We'll leave them in S tier just be kind of even it out because I don't think any of these other teams down here are S tier anymore. But Houston Astros, don't really want to cover much about them. They got Justin Verlander. They got Jordan Alvarez. They got some absolute studs. They do lose Carlos Correa, which I could make an argue that puts them into the A tier. Maybe we will leave them in A tier right there. They're a tough one because they're definitely one of the top tier teams in baseball, especially with people like Kyle Tucker as well. Pitching staff still very good, so intriguing team for sure. We're going to leave them top tier at A. Philadelphia Phillies, top tier B tier team, even borderline bottom tier A tier. I think these guys could definitely compete this year, but they have a tough division. They get Castellanos, they get Schwarber, they allow people like Zach Wheeler to have a little more offense behind him while he's pitching. You got Aaron Nola, so the pitching's there. I like to see the pitching. I like to see that you have signs of people like Rhys Hoskins stepping things up. You still got Harper, you still have a talented team, and between everybody within this team, I'm a little scared. And I think the Phillies could definitely fight. But I'm going to keep them at B tier. I'm a little worried about that defense. A little worried about how that's going to affect them throughout the year. White Sox. I don't really know where to put these guys. I think I'm just going to put them smack in the middle of B, and we're just going to call them the most middle ground team right now. They're not a bad team. They're definitely going to make playoffs, I believe. I think they're a competitive ball club. They did some moves. They did a couple things. They're trying to see what they can do. But I think they're a little unsure about themselves, and they're kind of in that position where they're either going to sell or they're going to buy. But I'm really unsure, so we're going to leave them right there smack in the middle for the Chicago White Sox. Next one, Cincinnati. So the Cincinnati Reds sold their soul to the devil, and you know what? D tier for them. I don't think they're competing much with what they got. They don't really have much going for them. They got Hunter Green, Joey Votto, and they're trying, I guess, but they definitely sold a lot. They're showing that they're kind of similar to Oakland. I think they're tanking. We'll kind of put them in the tanking margin right there. But yeah, I don't think Cincinnati's going to be anything good. I think they're going to be the worst team in the National League Central this year. Washington Nationals. It's going to be the Nelly Cruz and the Juan Soto show. I wanted to say that they were going to be good, but I think they are your fourth place team in this division. I don't think that they're really going to be able to compete with the rest of these guys. The Braves, the Mets, the Phillies, and then probably the Nationals is how I'm kind of imagining it. It's going to be the hardest division in baseball, in my opinion, this year. Lot of talent. And even Miami, if somehow they start to kind of, like I said, those prospects start to show, you never know how this division's going to look. And it's definitely going to be my favorite one to watch. So with that being said, yeah, Nationals definitely like a B-tier team. I think they're trying. I definitely don't want to knock them. I think they're a good team. They still have players like Strasburg and that as far as pitching. But yeah, losing Scherzer and losing all those guys, that definitely does hurt. Minnesota Twins. A lot of homegrown talent. They get Carlos Correa, which I'm one of the few. I love it. I love it. Good for Correa. Good for the Twins. They get a shortstop. You know, they get someone that their fans can be a little more excited about. This is really going to allow their team to just, I think, excel. I think they are going to be a competitive ball club this year. But I still think they're along the lines with the White Sox, where they're also that, like, kind of unsure. It depends on how the health is for these guys. I know Buxton is a little bit of an injury-prone guy. I think Kepler has had his problems as well. So, and even Sano, I believe, has had some injury problems. So down the line, definitely depends on the health of these guys, as it is with any ball club. But with that being said, guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. If you guys do enjoy today's video, be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more amazing content, because only you can make a difference for today's channel. So your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, guys, baseball is officially back. Welcome to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.